Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Trash Takes podcast, where we give you the most trash and stupid takes on topics that we try to understand. Anyway, for all of you weekly viewers, welcome back because last week we just released our first episode. Anyway, and the boys are back here again. Boys, please introduce yourselves once again.
Hello guys, I'm still the old same person. I
Hello,
still
Mr.
like
Tan. Welcome
I still
back
like
to the show.
of course. I still like reading poems. Like I told you, Nick.
Wow, reading
Like I told you,
poems.
Mr. Visaya.
Like last time, din.
Yeah, like I told you, everyone's into poems right now. Now we're back
Really.
for the exact reason why. We've been challenged by our brother company, right?
We've been challenged by the boys over at the Rye and Frank Talks, Mr.
Yeah.
Ryan Tan and Mr. Franco Sarmiento. They're challenging this extensive knowledge of me, Enrico, and Aaron Tan. Can you believe that? Wow. Anyway, actually, Mr. Enrico Sarmiento, you didn't introduce yourself.
Oh yeah.
How could we forget about Mr. E. Sarms, the man with
A
the,
man
yeah.
born with knowledge.
the extensive knowledge?
As you know, I explained last time I had extensive knowledge, but
But,
now we've been
on this
trying
week's,
to do a Filipino poem, and that's
Pretty
out of
hard.
my knowledge.
that's out of our
You
league,
know,
bro. That's
that's
outside of the somehow
that's
extensive knowledge that we possess. So the man today with
yeah.
the extensive knowledge is none other than the legend, Mr. Aaron Tan.
I
He
don't
is going to
say
give you the most insightful answers today, while me and Enrico are going to make fools out of ourselves. I think Mr. Ryan and Mr. Franco knew that me and Enrico were not good at Filipino. But luckily, again, like I said, we have Mr. Tan. And speaking of the poems, let's get right to it. Anyway, the format is we're going to be giving you a brief overview of the poems. We're not going to analyze it like last time. Just going to give you like the gist. I mean, we expect that you've actually watched
the
the
right.
Ryan Frank Talks. That exact episode is very insightful. You should watch it because it covers all the 6 poems we're going to do. So today we're just going to give you a brief overview so you're reminded on the gists of these poems and the different themes of these poems. I mean, they're all like Aaron's gonna explain that they're all under one theme, but they're gonna discuss the various topics that are within these poems. So yeah, make sure you watch that video by Ryan Frank Talks before listening to this because you're gonna be a little bit confused. Anyway, Mr. Aaron, you could go ahead with the overview now
Okay.
on the themes.
Well, first of all, thanks for the flattery. Well, but I don't think that I'm as I don't think I have that extensive knowledge, but sure, I can, I guess. So, for the poems of Liam Oriang by L.J. Del Doc, they all kind of focus on one theme. They all revolve around it, and that's probably the idea of love and the pain that people have to go through when experiencing love, whether it's from family members to another, or from friends to another, or lovers in general.
Okay,
Yes.
understand. Okay, so yeah, like Mr. Aaron Tan said, that's basically the whole gist. It's basically love poems,
Love
but
poems.
in like different forms. So they're all different takes on love. Anyway, so we're gonna give you a brief overview of all the poems now. These are like short explanations, maybe 1 minute to 2 minutes, 2 minutes at max, because we don't have enough time. So, Mr. Enrico, please
Okay.
go ahead for the first.
So yeah, for the first poem that we're gonna discuss, it's called Amor Seco. The main topic here is, as you know, love. But then the love explained here is between a family, specifically a mother and child. So
Yeah.
after reading the poem and then hearing about it in the Ryan Frank's talk, I heard one line that was "Dumidikit ang dahon," and that line, it um I was able to determine that the leaves or the dahon meant painful
Dahon.
memory. It sticks to the person. So what I got from that is that a child and the mother were both reminiscing about their past memories that were painful. So that's what I believe they got from their
From the
talk.
Amorceco. Yeah. I mean, I think it's parental as a whole. It
Yes. Because
so
if I can add into Enrico's explanation, like
go ahead. Go
in the
ahead,
po
Mr. Tan.
in the poem, it says you know it's a mother because of how it uses inang at the very first line. So
Yep.
it's like directed to the mother. And like, let me add to what Enrico said about like the memories. Yes, the leaves did uh are the memories of the child. But what makes it painful memories are the lines that mahirap ito tanggalin. Kasi sumasakit kapag tinatanggal. So that part like emphasizes that it was painful for the mother or probably for the child as well, that those memories that they have to face together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Very nice. Okay. So that's for the first poem, Amarseco, and I'm covering the second poem, sa Panaginip Ko. Okay, so this is actually my favorite poem out of everything, just because of the language used. But we'll get into that later. I'll just explain what it is. So, sa Panaginip Ko, marami na tayong narating. Is about love, of course, but the exact type of love being insinuated, not insinuated, explained here is the love of people who have separated. So it's still painful. Like, so we're still keeping that theme of pain. And just like what Enrico said, it's also recalling memories of the past. But this is romantic love, not parental love. So it's a completely different ball game. So here's the context. The person is drunk. I mean, he's drinking and he's lost all control of his senses. So he starts hallucinating. And then there's a wide array of personifications, metaphors, literary devices, imagery that actually build the mood around this feeling of separated love between his lover, his past lover.
With themselves.
And then most of this poem is actually just filler. Not, I don't want to say filler, but a lot of it is descriptions of
Of her own.
but it really builds that mood of the sentimental person. And I'll sum it up with this. The poem is about two persons who broke up with each other because of the promises they cannot fulfill. And the guy tries to fix it by emphasizing the events they share together. That's why you see all of these descriptions of places. For example, the descriptions of the 1,000 books that they've read in Negros. I mean, not in Negros. They read about a book in
In the
Negros.
church. In the
They read
church.
about the church, yeah. So basically, that's it for sa panaginip ko. Marami na tayong. And I'm actually doing the other one, the third one too. Mr. Tan, you can jump in and help me anytime because, of course, I'm trying my best here. So,
Okay, of course.
na yun pa ba matakot? Matatakot pala. Okay, so this is lack of expression.
Yes, true. Very lack of. There's a lack of expression.
Unable to express his love. Because, again, imagery. Again, I'm going to reiterate on imagery again later when we get to the questions because this is a big part of LG's writing. He's really, really poetic. Why do I fear to express the truth to you? That's basically the sentiment of this poem. Na yun pa ba matatakot? And he uses sound in a way that lets you feel that the love is gone. Like, he only hears, he's obsessed, but there's no return. For example, let me show you, I'll read you a sentence that can summarize this. Why do I fear to express the truth even to myself? In radio, I don't hear the sounds, but only hear your voice and the stories. So when he listens to the radio, like, he's like reminiscing. Again, we're like getting onto the topic of reminiscence. He's always being reminded of of his past lover.
Yes,
But
true.
they've separated.
So like in this,
And do you have anything else to add?
yeah, of course. In this poem, like in general, like it talks about like a person with a lover, but they were separated and now became an unrequited love. Like in the poem, like he expresses that he couldn't express his feelings again to, I guess, a woman. Like, so yeah, it shows that lack of expression, that he can no longer, even when when they were together in the past. You understand?
Actually, yeah.
So yeah, even in
That's more exciting.
yeah, even in the poem, the last verse, it talks about like the person talks about the difference between him and with his lover, saying that his lover was more expressive than him. But
Oh, okay. So it's comparison.
yeah, it's a
Right.
comparison like
I wasn't able
about
to get
him.
that.
But the difference is that he is different from the woman. He loves her as much, but is unable to express that feeling once again. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Tan, for adding on to my explanation. I think that actually solidified what I said.
So
I don't have the enough information. Anyway, the next.
so the
Who's next?
so the next one is ang lahat ng maganda ay malungkot. For this poem, I don't really think that it describes about love, like a love between a person to another person, but it talks about love in general, like love itself. Like in this poem, it
Mm-hmm.
compares love to like to beauty, but it emphasizes that beauty can never lead to eternal happiness. It cannot lead to love. It cannot always lead to love.
Because it fades. I
Yes,
think that's the
like
main gist.
it does, like it does not like mean. So in the poem, it like compares like love to like food. Like when you leave food there, it rots. Or to a rainbow, when a rainbow, stays in the sky, it will
Oh
soon
yeah,
fade.
I also noticed.
Yes.
You also put this in your explanation. This is also in the question later that we're gonna answer.
So yeah,
Maganda stays at the beginning
yes,
usually, and then malungkot stays at the end.
yeah.
So you can see that there's a contrast. Anyway, Mr. Tan, continue.
So yeah,
If you have any.
that's technically all for this poem. It just really talks about love. Like you should not find love just because of the beauty you see in outside, but you should also see in the
Mhm.
inside. So yeah. So
All
next
right.
poem, Mr. Rico.
Next poem, Mr. Nico.
So the
Probably
next
it's our
one
last.
is
No?
kung saan nagtatagpo ang langit at ang karagatan. Okay. So this poem to me, it's pretty hard to understand. So I only got a few lines from it. And so the main theme for me, it sums up to 2 points specifically, which is either long distance relationships or waiting for love. And so how did I come up with this? It's specifically from one of the few
One
lines,
line, just one line.
one line that I understood, which is I will move the mountains for you. So this
Wow, so
tells me
romantic.
two meanings. It's either I will move the mountains to make it easier for you to see me, or I will move the mountains so that I can see you. So if it's
Wow,
second
ang
way, right,
galing.
then it's I'll move the mountains to see you. That's referring to long distance relationships. And if it's I'll move the mountains for you to have an easier time to see me, then that's waiting for love. So those are the two examples that I came up with based on that one line.
Yeah, I guess that could be it. I mean, I couldn't understand that poem either.
So like
So, Mr. Shams, I think you did a good job.
yeah, nice one, Enrico. But I actually agree with Enrico in one of his topics. Because when I read the poem, I actually thought it was about waiting for love. Like from the exact same line as Enrico said, like I will move
Mhm.
the mountains for you. The usage of will there can be for future tense. Like I will do something for you. So like I will do anything for you when you come to me. Gets?
Wow.
So yeah, that's why I think that I have the same idea as Enrico that it's about waiting for love.
Nice. Okay. So we're on to our last
So
poem for the overview.
the last poem is about liham para
Let's
kay
go, Mr. Tan.
liham
Finish it
para,
off on a strong note.
liham para kay Oryang. So in this poem generally, it talks about um a mother's love for a child, even though the mother never actually met the son, Andrew. Is it Andrew? Yeah. Or Andres pala. So it
Go
shows
ahead, Tan.
uh, it's 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 a letter, like the form of the poem is like a letter, how the mother describes that if I can meet you again, my child.
So
Yeah,
it's Liham.
yeah, it's liham. Yeah, it's a letter, of course. So the idea here is that how do I explain this? Like in the lines of the poem, it says, "If I can hold you in my arms again." The usage of again there's like the mother
So
was never able to hold the child because of the
it
father.
shows separation.
It
It
shows a
shows like
separation.
separation.
So yeah,
So it's
it's
similar
technically
to ano,
yeah, because
like the past poem, yeah.
yeah, because the father separated the mother from the child. So yeah,
Damn.
so it's about a
Sad.
parental love. Yeah, it's sad as well. It's very painful. So yeah,
It's like a Morseco. It's like a
Marseco. It's
Morseco,
like a
but
Marseco, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so that's it for the brief overview. Thank you, Mr. Tan, for that last and thank you, Mr. Nico, for the explanations. So hopefully you got a little bit of insight from that because we didn't really go over the lines, like the pure lines of the poem. We just got into the
The theme.
just themes, the overall themes that make up the poems. So anyway, let's get to today's main activity. The
Ask
questions that the boys from Rye Frank Talk sent us.
more
Anyway, let's
questions.
go. Okay, boys, let's answer this clean. Let's answer this with our extensive knowledge that we do not have today. But let's try to force that and to force our knowledge to like, you know, give some insightful answers to the viewers. So, our first question, I'm gonna answer this by the way. How did LJ make use of the literary devices to further magnify the topic in his collection? I kept saying this a while ago, and I can't stress this enough about LJ's work. Even though it was in Filipino, I could still feel the use of descriptive language and imagery. Imagery especially. Jeez, there's so much stuff that what's this? LJ describes in his works.
2 o'clock.
It's commendable in the maze. He describes every little detail and integrates it into his use of comparison, metaphor, simile, hyperbole, and personification. For example, again, my favorite poem in particular, sa panaginip ko, LJ crafts a metaphor through the use of the beach, and he describes the beach in full. I'm not gonna say the like what exact lines, but the metaphor is used to describe the passing of memories through the use of the sand, which is symbolized to the sand. You could actually go to Ryan Frank Talks for more insight on that, but that's basically it. His use of imagery to further magnify, further, strengthen his use of metaphor is actually crazy good. Of course, there's only one snippet of the entire poem. It's everywhere.
Yes.
And to be completely honest, it doesn't even have to be like the figure of speech in general. It's just imagery. The way he describes is it's so pretty. You could actually imagine all of the things he's describing. And though the main sentiments of love are strongly present, it's already present because he's good at writing. He's good at crafting love poems. He craft everything here is about love. The word choice that he uses, like the exact words that he uses, strengthens the mood of the work.
Yes.
It may be filler to like you guys, but to me personally, when I'm reading descriptive lines or descriptive portions of poems, that's like my favorite part because it helps build like what you're supposed to be feeling,
Yes, true.
and it crafts the mood around the main theme. You can really feel the love there in Panaginip. So
So yeah,
yeah, but
Mr. Visaya, go.
okay. Actually, I have one more example to show this. Is in Nayon Pa Ba Matakot. He uses imagery again to invoke the theme of unrequited love. He uses sound specifically, and he does this by using the radio and saying he can't hear anything the radio's saying because he's being reminded of the things that she did. So, sound imagery, people. Imagery, please place it into your works. This is actually a really, really big thing for me in writing. Anyway, that's it for question number 1.
So if I can add for Nathan's
Go ahead.
for Nathan's number 1, like yes, there were a lot of imageries in the poems, like in general, like for LJ Daldak's work. Yes, there's a lot of imagery, but there was so much usage of figure of speech. So like there were similes like
Yeah, there's a
katulad
lot.
ng
I didn't.
bahag-ari ng kulay ng ganito, or like hyperbole, like uuyungin ko yung mga bundok para sa iyo para makita ka or something. Yeah. So like
Yeah,
those,
there's a lot of that.
and there's the metaphors like descriptive. The figure of speech, yes, was like technically a filler, like, but it was descriptive in the sense that it built up the plot, it built up to the story and how he wanted to relay the message to the audience. So like aside from that, it also created an ambience, the mood that circles around the overall poem and how he was able to express that love like into one idea. And that's where we go to number 2 now. Like
Okay, go. Number 2. Who's answering number 2 again? Go
me.
ahead.
So
Here
the
you go,
question,
Mr. Aaron Tan.
so the question from Rai Frank Talks was, how does LJ use different types of love to convey one overarching statement? Like,
Wow, very smart.
like I said in the poems by LJ Del Doc, they all had one revolving theme, and that's probably love. But the usage of love,
Pain.
yeah, the usage of love in his poems were all different, from unrequited to mother parental to love between lovers, and yeah, and like how he even described the shape and form of love in general. So in the poems, like I guess like in my sense, like from what I took off, like the love can be separated into different groups. Love between family to one another, and love between between two different people from different worlds. Like they come together as a lovers.
Mm-hmm.
So by using different forms of love, like he was able to convey one overarching sentiment, and that's probably that love is always gonna be love. Like no matter what kind of love it is, whether you're blood related to the person or not, you will have to face problems. Like you cannot not have problems because the problems are what builds up to that love. And so yeah, in short, like the overarching sentiment is pain with regards to love in
Yeah, that's another overarching sentiment you could actually put. Kasi all of the, no, all of the poems had some type of pain,
yeah, pain.
be it separation, be it obsession, be it
Yeah,
unrequited.
waiting
Yeah,
for somebody to come. Yeah.
yeah. So basically sad. Anyway, that's it for number 2. Good answer, Mr. Tan. That was really insightful. So number 3, who's doing number 3?
I'm doing number 3. So, the question that they sent over was, how does LJ's writing style affect the different ideas of love conveyed in the text? So, I think that it affects the way that the love is conveyed rather than affects the different ideas of love.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Interesting.
um, as you know, as stated a while ago in many of the poems, LJ uses the descriptive writing style. So, he uses this to convey a story, but then the question that I'm wondering is, why didn't he just use the narrative writing style to convey a story? Because he's doing a story to show the themes, right? So why not just use narrative? I think that he used descriptive because he wants to show both sides of the story rather than showing it from one side. Like in our last podcast, we showed coming home to estancia, and that's
That's
one
narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a narrative that shows one side only. So I think that descriptive allows him to show both sides of the story, and it was shown especially in one of the poems that I discussed a while ago, which is Amor Seco, where it shows the dumidikit na dahon, which is another line that I mentioned a while ago, which is something that they use the surroundings to describe the feelings of both the that can relate to both the mother and the child of the painful memories. So that's what I think it
I mean, to
does.
be completely honest, I wouldn't want it to be a narrative because I just like descriptive writing in general. I mean, it may be viewers, it may be filler to you guys, but to me and the boys,
But it helps. Yeah.
We love that language, you know.
Because
We love the use of,
it helps sets the mood. It technically like because
yeah,
of
like I said a while ago, it
it
helps
sets the
set the
mood for the
mood,
poem.
man.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
when you
you can't have a poem without descriptive writing, in my opinion.
yeah, like if for like poems like this, like it's better to be descriptive because if it's narrative, I think for me initially, it might be kind of dull. Like there's no emotions, but with the descriptive usage, like he was able to set the mood of like sadness, pain, love, like for each other. Yeah, the
Yeah.
expression to love somebody. Yeah,
I mean, narrative can also show emotions, but
yeah,
when it comes to descriptive, it's just
it's
more poetic in
more
general.
poetic in general.
So I think it's more, fitting for this. Anyway, that's it for question number 3. Thank you everybody for your answers. So who's doing question number 4 again? I think Mr. Aaron Tan should answer this final one because he
Yeah.
had a good answer in the overview a while ago, and this
So,
he already explained this actually. So
so
go ahead, Mr. Tan.
yeah, like how I explained it a while ago. But the question of that Rai Frank sent us was, why does LJ use two opposites of which are maganda and malungkot in his poem? Like lahat ng maganda and malungkot to convey the idea of external beauty being temporary. like I said a while ago, the poem talks about love in general. It doesn't talk about two people. It just talks about love in general. It describes like how being beautiful will never lead you to always have happiness or to always
Happiness
have,
and love,
yeah.
yeah. Because it fades, of
So
course.
because sometimes it fades. So just like how he described in the poem. So honestly, in the poem, he had like a lot of uh, similes, like a lot of similes comparing love to a food, the rainbow, etc. All has one common theme. Like it starts off with maganda, like the beauty of something.
Yeah, it starts off with
Yes,
maganda at like some parts of at like some portions. It
yes,
always starts with maganda at the beginning, beautiful, and then it always ends with malungkot at the end of each passage
yeah.
to like
Yeah.
enforce the like the title. Main, yeah, basta. Go ahead, Aaron.
So
Go
yeah,
ahead, Aaron.
like the usage of that, the similes, it gave us an idea like you like sure you can find love in the beauty, but you must also make sure that the beauty remains inside,
Inside,
not only outside.
yeah.
It should be both ways.
Viewers, personality over personality
Personality
over looks.
over
That's
love.
basically the summary for this. Anyway, that was a good answer. Anyway, that's all for today. Those were the 4 questions that Ryan Frank sent us. Hopefully for all of the fans from the Ryan Frank talks, hopefully we answered the questions that they gave properly and with some type of validity. So again, thank you for coming in for the
Wait,
trash takes.
and also for all the audience, if you wanna see the Ryan Fang talks discuss about our questions,
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you want to see them discuss about our questions,
better
you
watch
go
them.
over to the Ryan Frank Talks. Go watch them. They're also submitting an episode this week. Again, we're having a collab, some type of collab with them. So if you guys are interested in that. Oh, by the way, Ryan Frank Talks, they're both the brothers of Enrico and Franco. Yeah, I mean, both the brothers of Aaron and Enrico. Ryan and Franco. So that's
Yeah.
more reason to watch it. So, anyway, to conclude, thank you again for watching today's episode of Trash Takes. And we'll see you again. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you later.